What is a true fact that sounds like a conspiracy theory? The CIA has a real-deal heart attack gun. It was exposed to the public in the 70s. Not only does the US government have a heart attack gun, it also has other means of sci-fi spy weapons, such as mounted radar dishes that can cause mass hysteria for crowd control via high-pressure frequency waves, among other crowd manipulation devices. One of the more awful crowd control weapons they have is the active denial system, which shoots a microwave frequency RF beam at a crowd to disperse it. If it hits you, your skin feels like it's on fire, but it causes no lasting injury. The problem is, you immediately want to run away. This can cause people to die in stampedes. And imagine if they turned it on a group of people boxed in an alley. Project Sunshine, in which the US government, in the wake of dropping atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, ordered a major study to better understand the effects of radiation exposure, nuclear fallout on the human body, so an international network of agents was recruited to locate recently deceased children, and steal body parts from them to use for testing. Scary but very true. I'm an X-ray student and we talk about this a lot in class. A lot of rules and regulations regarding medical radiation exposure are all based off data from exposed Japanese citizens. Edit, fun fact: bed or banana equivalent dose is an informal radiation unit. Bananas give off approximately 1 microsievert of radiation and can be used as comparison when studying radiation exposure. The ancient Egyptians had a pregnancy test that actually worked. I am listening. Edit. 1350 BCE. One of the earliest written records of a urine-based pregnancy test can be found in an ancient Egyptian document. A papyrus described a test in which a woman who might be pregnant could urinate on wheat and barley seeds over the course of several days. If the barley grows, it means a male child. If the wheat grows, it means a female child. If both do not grow, she will not bear at all. Testing of this theory in 1963 found that 70% of the time, the urine of pregnant women did promote growth, while the urine of non-pregnant women and men did not. Scholars have identified this as perhaps the first test to detect a unique substance in the urine of pregnant women, and have speculated that elevated levels of estrogens in pregnant women's urine may have been the key to its success. Okay, but how did they discover this? Were they just like, I wonder if I'm pregnant, let me piss on my dinner and see if it grows? The Hawaiian royalty was toppled by a fruit company, Dole. Fruit companies did all sorts of crazy and terrible stuff. There's a reason we have the term Banana Republic. It originally referred to puppet governments installed by mostly US-based fruit companies to exploit cheap labor and land in prime fruit-growing regions. I always think of the CIA deposing the democratically elected government of Guatemala in 1954. The United Fruit Company, whose highly profitable business had been affected by the end to exploitative labor practices in Guatemala, engaged in an influential lobbying campaign to persuade the US to overthrow the Guatemalan government. Today, the United Fruit Company is known as Chiquita. The FBI sent an anonymous letter to Martin Luther King Jr. telling him to kill himself. Both the US and Russia use dolphins and whales to spy on countries. Like, now? I know they tested stuff a while back. Can I get some more info? Yeah? Norway found one just last weekend. Why is this so funny? I imagine the beluga ping back like, comrades, I've been made. In the 90s, the Canadian government were using a homosexual detector called the Fruit Machine to find gay men and fire them from their jobs. Edit, the electronic device was only used in the 1960s. The systematic gay purge, also referred to as the Fruit Machine, continued into the early 1990s. The Fruit Machine was not only the systemic targeting of queers in the civil service, but also an actual contraption. It looked like a dentist chair, with cameras and sensor attached along with a black box that displayed images at eye level for the victim. Participants would volunteer to have their stress levels checked, when the machine was really an attempt to tell if a person was queer. Images shown to the participant would include erotic photos of men and women with other meaningless visuals. If he showed any sign of supposed arousal during a photo of someone of the same sex, they were added to the watch list. Project Acoustic Kitty. Basically, the CIA wanted to put microphones and transmitters inside of cats and use them to spy on the Soviets in the 1960s. It cost about $20 million and was a huge failure. Allegedly, the first attempt at this resulted in the cat running out into the street and getting run over by a car almost immediately. While they failed with cats, they were successful with birds. A real bird hasn't actually existed since 2001. The Tuskegee Syphilis Experiment. The purpose of this study was to observe the natural history of untreated syphilis. The African American men in the study were told they were receiving free health care from the United States government. None of the men were told that they had the disease, and none were treated with penicillin even after the antibiotic was proven to successfully treat syphilis. That's effed up on so many levels. Lobsters can't actually die of old age because they have an enzyme that replicates some of their DNA or whatever throughout their life, but they can die of anything else, for example disease, consumption, etc. So if you think about it, there really could be just a huge ass lobster like the size of a VW bug chilling in the middle of the Atlantic or even bigger. I've heard that the reason we don't have big ass lobsters all the time is because they'll eventually get too big and they aren't able to eat enough to keep up with their metabolism. I heard crocodiles also do not die of old age. They too die because they get big enough to not be able to keep up with their metabolism. That's why crocodiles in zoos are so much bigger and live so much longer than wild ones. The biggest crocodile ever recorded actually died from its body crushing its organs. Bedbugs can lie dormant for up to 24 months without food. They're out to get us all. That and crows have facial recognition. They remember you. Sounds totally out there, but it's true. Fun fact. Bedbugs used to only eat on bats as a type of tick, but researchers wanting to study the bats spread the tick, bedbugs, and with their super evolution abilities, they went from ticks for bats to the bedbugs we know today. Bedbugs have this crazy ability to evolve past most or all pesticides / poisoning, as freezing or heat treating the infested area is the only option. The reason only the orange variety of carrots is widely available is because the Dutch like the color orange. They leveraged their powerful trade networks to make it so. I love that everything else on this thread is about assassination and biochem warfare, and then there's just the Dutch wanting everyone to think only orange carrots are available.